going to talk about the top 3 things you should not do if you're trying to heal your bladder from interstitial cystitis and bladder pain syndrome. The IC diet is a complete joke. The IC diet eliminates foods for the wrong reasons and includes foods for the wrong reasons. For example, the IC diet says to remove acidic foods because acidic foods, they say, irritate the bladder. Acidic foods actually become alkaline once they're metabolized in the body. So that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It isn't the acid that's the problem with these foods. It's the fact that many acidic foods like citrus fruits and vinegars are high histamine or histamine liberators. So ultimately, the pain experienced from eating these foods are coming from the inability to remove histamine from the body. And oftentimes, that is caused by deficiencies in enzymes such as diamine oxidase and histamine N-methyltransferase. And also, oftentimes, nutrient deficiencies that are cofactors for these enzymes. The big one is copper. People with copper dysregulation are more likely to have histamine problems because their diamine oxidase enzyme is not working properly, and therefore they cannot remove histamine properly from the body. I've had people tell me that they followed the IC diet and they were eating loads and loads of celery juice and peanut butter. Celery juice is high oxalate, and oxalates are the big problem with bladder pain syndrome. And then on top of it, oxalates can promote histamine via mast cell activation. And peanuts not only are high oxalate, but they're also considered to be a food that has a lot of fungus and mold in it. And that alone can be very problematic for your bladder. Number 2, amitriptyline, Elavil, whatever you want to call it. This drug is not good for healing the bladder. It temporarily masks the pain by working on receptors on the brain, so the brain doesn't notice that there is as much pain. Now, masking your symptoms does not mean that you're healing. So when you mask your symptoms, you're actually still experiencing damage on the level of the tissue. So over time, you're actually getting worse. The other problem with amitriptyline is that it makes you constipated, which many people resort to Miralax for their constipation. Miralax contains something called polyethylene glycol, and that is known to contribute to significant oxalate to the body. So through the process of taking something like amitriptyline and remediating the constipation, you're also making your bladder worse. On top of it, amitriptyline does promote significant nutrient deficiencies such as vitamin B6, which is a very necessary cofactor in many processes, not only for removing oxalates, but also for your histamine enzyme. So through the process of taking amitriptyline, you're actually getting worse. Number 3, long-term antibiotics. This seems to be a very common thing amongst some of the newer IC doctors. Let's just put you on a long-term course of antibiotics to deal with a biofilm infection. That's not a good idea. Long-term antibiotics are going to wreck your gut. And the problem is your gut. Not only hyper-absorbing oxalates through your diet, but you don't have enough good microbes to support your immune system. The other problem is a lot of these oral antibiotics, they don't penetrate into the bladder, even with the biofilm disruptors. So taking long-term antibiotics to treat interstitial cystitis is only going to make you worse long-term, and it's also going to worsen your histamine problem because you're killing off all of the good bacteria that are needed to help you process and remove histamines and oxalates out of the body. So through the process of taking antibiotics, you're actually making your condition worse, not better.